being able to take something from nothing and creating something. It's really what the mission is. Everything in life has a substrate. Okay, everything has a media it grows in. So we have to create a growing media. Composting, really, a lot of people talk about recycling, reduce, reuse. It's a perfect way of taking what you have and multiplying it, putting it back into production to a useful nutrient. Of course, there are certain things you can't throw in there. 2,4-D. 2,4-D is a wide herbicide that's used for broadleaf. We pick up the clippings, right? We're going to go throw those clippings in our compost. The chemical in the grass that stops the broadleaf is also still present in the grass. So when it decomposes, it will leach into the compost, which will then affect the tomato that you put it on. So then you're literally putting 2,4-D byproduct on top of the tomatoes. So pretty much anything that's not a dyed, that's a natural, can pretty much be compost. And really, all that's doing is giving nutrients to the soil, which then feeds the plants, which then feeds us. Say it's low in nitrogen. I need nitrogen. How am I going to put nitrogen in my compost? Coffee grinds. I put some coffee grinds in. It's going to bring the nitrogen level. I need some potassium. My potassium level is way too low. What do I put in? Bananas, exactly. It's really easy to compost at home. Anything that you eat, that you make, that you eat, that you don't finish, besides the protein, you can pretty much add it. If the soil around it doesn't have nitrogen, it cannot get a nitrogen. So for it to get a nitrogen, it has to exchange. So if you put nitrogen in the soil says, I have a nitrogen. It's going to give the plant the nitrogen, and the plant's going to give it phosphorus. It's going to exchange. One of the reasons, too, to reduce and reuse is to reduce our nitrogen and our carbon footprint and our nitrous footprint. When we throw all this stuff in there and it starts to build up, we're creating more of a gas, right? A greenhouse effect. Microorganisms. That's what actually breaks everything down. So that banana peel, that grass clipping, with manure in, right? But you don't want to use every species of animals manured. The microorganisms are breaking it down. Microorganisms are bacteria, fungus, algae, viruses. Obviously, it takes a lot of compost for a lot of land, a lot of cleanings. So what we use is vermiculite, peat moss, and pretty much a compost mix on top of the soil. So we fluff it. Just like culinary mixes a bowl of cake batter. We mix it, and this year, especially, we're tarping, and that's to cut down on the weeds, which then hopefully cuts down on the labor. When it comes down to it, it's just old school practices of being able to be good stewards of the land. We have to be careful with our resource all the time. Just because you can afford it doesn't mean you should do it. What we put in, we harvest. I know what I'm eating. I know exactly what that substrate of that bed is created from, because we did it. We created it. And it's a good feeling to be able to feed my family the same thing I would feed a friend or a stranger at the table. So what we do is we create a tea. Compost ferments and cooks. We take a part of that and we literally put it in a 5-gallon pail. And so we take a finished compost. This 5-gallon pail has a bunch of little tiny holes drilled in it, and we submerge this in a 55-gallon drum. And underneath the barrel, there's an aerator. If you've ever had a fish tank, you know those little bubbles? So what we're doing is we're trying to keep that water flowing and going through that with the exchange. It's really a natural way. It avoids all the commercial process of buying everything from the store and being independent. There's so much more natural ways of doing it that we have to take care of the land. It's been cooked, it's been finished, it's a byproduct, it's done. It's a product ready to be used. These are all ready. They're all ready to rock and roll. It pretty much is. It's a tea.
Are we gonna use like?
So when you water,
Yeah.
this will already be in your water, in the water tank.
Probably already covered this, but is there water in it? Is it like?
Yeah, this is water. The base of this is water, H2O. And then the rest is just compost. We adjust nitrogen, potassium, and phosphate, NPK. We will take that tea and we'll actually apply it to the fields once a week. to actually get the nutrients levels high, and also it really puts out the fruit. If you want to validate that, look at the tomatoes on the greenhouse. Those tomatoes are only 5 weeks old. We also check the pH. A pH that's too high, like tomatoes like a pH of 7.4, 7.6, they'll even tolerate 8.2. Not everything likes that high, you know. It's kind of like you wouldn't put a freshwater fish in a saltwater tank. You have to make sure that everything is right. We're really trying to grow food from seed to start to harvest, and compost takes a big part of that. And also young men, starting them from young and being able to go out into society and feed the world.
What you doing, David?
Chicken.
Give me a piece.